Hi guys. Okay, so this is Tuesday's math video. We are going to continue our lesson from yesterday. Yesterday we spent time adding animal weights together and figuring out how much two animals weighed together. Today we're going to do the opposite of addition and we're going to do some subtraction. So we're going to figure out how much more one animal weighs than the other. So yesterday we used the part and total diagram, and I'm going to turn my computer so you can kind of see. I was having a hard time getting a good angle, so let's maybe see if we can get that. Okay, there we go. Yesterday we used a part and total diagram, and it looked like this. This is a smaller version of it. And we put one part here, and then we figured out the total. And we used base 10 blocks and we used the number grid to solve those problems because the numbers were bigger than what would be appropriate for counters or a drawing or a number line. So today we're going to be working with those big numbers again, but instead of adding them together, we're going to be finding the difference. We're going to be subtracting them. So I have our first problem up here, and we're going to get started on it. I'm going to stop for a moment because I forgot to tell you kind of the agenda of this lesson. There's two problems that we're going to do together, and then I have a third problem that I'm going to leave you to do by yourself. And then after this video today, you have two things you have to do. The first one is Math Journal, page 90. And then a Google Classroom form, okay? So after this, you have two things to get done in math today. All right, let's get started on our problem. So it says, a boy weighs 50 pounds, an octopus weighs 20 pounds. How much more does the boy weigh? Okay. So if you think back to not last week when we were on vacation, but the week before, I talked about the quantity difference diagram, and that helped us, solve those problems when we were asked to find how much more. So let's organize our information. We'll create a number model, and then we'll talk about how we're going to solve it, okay? So a boy weighs 50 pounds. Thinking about this quantity diagram, bigger box, bigger number, smaller box, smaller number, and that will give us the difference. A boy weighs 50 pounds, an octopus weighs 20 pounds. Okay, 50 pounds is bigger. Bigger box, bigger number. 20 pounds is smaller. Smaller box, smaller number. And I need to figure out what the difference is. If I have 50 over here, and I have 20 over here, what is the difference between those two numbers? That's what I have to figure out. So I'm going to create a number model, and I'm going to start with the bigger number, 50. And I'm going to subtract the smaller number, 20. And that's going to leave me with the difference. So I have my information organized. Now I have to actually solve the problem. So let's start by solving it with base 10 blocks. I got this today to use. You have one of these as well. You can also use your marker on it as well. Okay. Before I solve this, I want you to take a second and see if you can figure out how you might solve this. You could solve it on using your base 10 blocks, or you could solve it using a number grid. So just take a second, pause the video, see if you can figure out the answer. And if you can't, that's fine. Start the video again and we'll go through it together. If you can, awesome. Figure out what's the best tool for you. Base 10 blocks, number grid? I don't know. So pause the video now. Okay, I'm going to assume that you've paused the video, took a second to try and figure out how you might solve this problem, and now we're going to do it together. So I'm going to do base 10 blocks first, and the way that I would solve this with base 10 blocks would be that I would put 50 on my board, bigger number. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. And then I would take away because that's what subtraction is all about, taking away 20 of those blocks. Okay, 10, 20. And I am left with 3 10s. 3 10s is 30. 10, 20, 30. So I had 50 on here, and I took 20 away, and that left me with 30. So the difference that I got was 30. Okay, now I'm going to do the same problem, but with a number grid. So I'm going to start at 50 again, and I'm going to go backwards or take away 20. Starting at 50. Now I could go backwards once until I get to 20, but what I've discovered is that I make a lot of mistakes when I do that. So I know that if I go down a row, it's adding 10. And I know that addition and subtraction are opposites. So if I add 10, add 10, add 10, if I go backwards, if I go up a row, it would be subtracting 10. Subtract 10, subtract 10, or minus 10, minus 10. So if I start at 50 and I minus 10, and then minus 10 more, that would give me 20, right? Minus 10, minus 20. I land at 30. So I started at 50, I subtracted 20, and I got to 30. So what is the difference? 30. All right, nice job. Take this second to clear your tools if you haven't. Then I'm going to leave my quantity diagram up and only erase the numbers. So go ahead and do that. And then I'll flip the problem over. And let's get started with our second problem. All right. An octopus weighs 20 pounds. A starfish weighs 10 pounds. How much more does the octopus weigh? Okay, I read that. I'm going to read it again to get the information. An octopus weighs 20 pounds and a starfish weighs 10 pounds. How much more does the octopus weigh? Okay, well, I'm going to put this information in here so that I can organize my thoughts. So bigger box, bigger number. 20 is the bigger number, it goes in the bigger box. 10 is the smaller number, it goes in the smaller box. Okay, I don't know what the difference is yet between those two numbers. I'm going to find out, but I'm going to create my number model. 20 minus 10, so my bigger number minus my smaller number, equals something. I don't know what. All right, go ahead and pause the video. Try to figure out the answer to this question. Right, I'm going to assume that you have tried this on your own. Let's solve it again. Let's start with our number grid this time. This time we're going to start at 20 and we're going to go backwards 10. I could certainly count backwards 10 hops, but I've also learned a shortcut that's going to save me time. So I'm going to do that. 20 minus 10, I get to 10. Okay. Let's try it on my 10s and 1s map. I'm going to put the bigger box, the bigger number, I'm going to put that on here. 10, 20. I'm going to take away the smaller box. That's 10. So I started with 20 and I take away 10. I'm left with 10, which is the same number I got using my 10s and my number grid. Okay, now I had said earlier that I was going to leave the third problem with you, but I'm thinking that we can solve it pretty quick. So go ahead and clear everything off your board. I'll put up third problem and let's give this one a try. Okay. A boy weighs 50 pounds. A starfish weighs 10 pounds. How much more does the boy weigh? Okay, I'm gonna read it again and make sure I get all the information out of it. A boy weighs 50 pounds. A starfish weighs 10 pounds. How much more does the boy weigh? So they're looking for the difference. The boy weighs 50 pounds, starfish weighs 10. They want to know how much is between those two numbers. Okay, so I'm going to have you pause the video here and see if you can fill in your quantity diagram and see if you can solve this problem. Pause the video now. Okay, I'm going to assume that you've paused the video, and now we are going to solve it together. So, bigger box, bigger number. 50 is our bigger number. 10 is our smaller number, smaller box. I don't know what the difference is between those two numbers. I have to figure it out. Let's create our number sentence. Bigger number minus the smaller number gives us the difference. Okay. Ooh. All right. Now we have to figure out, how am I going to solve this? Am I going to use base 10 blocks? Am I going to use the number line, number grid? Okay. Let's start with the number grid. So I could start at 50 and I could go back 10. Or I could start at 10 and I could count up until I get to 50. But I have a feeling from 10 to 50 is a lot. I'm going to go start at 50 and I'm going to go backwards 10. Here's my 50. And I'm going to go use my shortcut going backwards 10. 50 minus 10 gives me 40. Okay. Let's check it using our tens and ones mat. Remember, you're going to put the bigger number on your mat, and then you're going to take away the smaller number. So my bigger number is 50. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. And I'm going to take away my smaller number, which is 10. So 10. I'm going to take that away. Let's see what I'm left with. 10, 20, 30, 40. I have 4 longs left and 0 cubes. So 50 minus 10 equals 40. So how much more does the boy weigh? The boy weighs 40 pounds more than the starfish. Okay, so that solves all 3 of our problems. And now what I'd like you to do is complete Math Journal page 90. I do not need a picture of it. It's just for you to practice. And then complete the Google form, which has more of these problems on it. Okay? Let me know if you have any questions, guys. Bye.